Welcome to Sharika Talks, Unraveling the Truth, a journalist's quest. Subscribe for the truth.
Chapter 49, the Padmanabhaswani Temple. The heavy rain that had begun nearly 2 weeks earlier continued with relentless force. Under the drenched skies of the Padmanabhaswani Temple, a small machine worked tirelessly, day and night, obeying the silent instructions of its master. Radio waves pierced through the downpour, guiding it and its smaller companion through the countless nooks and crevices of the vast temple complex. For the past several days, Sachin had been studying the temple inside and out from his rented lodge room nearby. Sometimes, he entered the temple like an ordinary devotee during visiting hours, watching carefully, memorizing every detail. He also utilized his 2 aerial assets with surgical precision. He deployed the Black Hornet mostly at night, nearly invisible, equipped with night vision and thermal imaging, while the Axis Vitius was used during daylight hours. Disguised by its size and erratic movement, it almost looked like a small beetle. When the drones were charging, he studied every available architectural description, satellite image, and historical layout of the temple. The eastern Gopuram rose 7 tiers high, and a 4-meter-high granite wall enclosed the almost square-shaped temple perimeter. Beyond the granite outer wall lay an unroofed courtyard around 20 meters wide on all sides. Inside it was the Seveli Pura, a tile-roofed walkway corridor that circumferenced the inner sanctum. Another unroofed, 20-meter-wide square-shaped courtyard followed, lined with minor shrines, before the final inner sanctum where the main deity rested. Every inch of the temple premises was covered by CCTV. Every inch, except the roof. That was the only way this madness could work. To reach the inner sanctum from the outer wall, Sachin had exactly 3 theoretical paths, the 4 cardinal entrances. The eastern gate was impossible since it was the main entrance. The southern side lacked a roofed walkway leading inward to the Seveli Pura. That left the north and west entrances. Direct entry was out of the question. Police patrols operated 24/7. But near the northwestern wall stood a large teak tree. Its canopy obscured sight lines. Its trunk was thick enough to mask movement. Sachin calculated it carefully. Using the tree as cover, he could climb the outer wall unseen, traverse the roof of the northern entrance, and then move across the tiled structures toward the inner sanctum. The equinox fell on September 22nd. Temple doors closed at 7:20 p.m. and reopened at 3:30 a.m. He calculated that the mechanism would probably unlock at 3:30 a.m. on the day of the equinox, if it was still working. The carvings explicitly stated that the lock would remain disengaged for the entire day and re-engage when the temple doors opened on the morning of the 23rd. He could not attempt entry during temple hours or daytime. That gave Sachin only one choice, between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. on the night of September 22nd, when temple activity was minimal and the lock was disengaged. But a problem remained. The instructions depended on celestial alignment to locate the entrance, the Sun and Jupiter on the equinox morning. Looking at the stormy night of September 21st, he wasn't sure he could spot Jupiter the next morning. Even though this was the most crucial part of the entire plan, he hadn't worried much. Somewhere at the back of his mind, he already knew the solution. For a normal man, it would have been impossible. For Sachin, it was merely engineering. If there is no sun, I'll make one of my own. If there is no Jupiter, I'll make my own, he told himself. Sachin opened an app on his phone, custom built with help from a dark web developer community Adam had once told him about. A small radio receiver, no larger than a power bank, was connected to his phone. Through it, he controlled both drones directly, without using the bulky drone controller. He entered 3 precise values taken from a common stargazer app, the exact celestial coordinates of Jupiter at sunrise on the equinox. The Black Hornet responded instantly. Its gimbal-mounted camera rotated and locked onto the calculated angle. It wasn't looking at what was there now. It was looking at exactly where Jupiter would be at sunrise on the equinox day. Now the task was simple. Find the point where the seventh tier window of the eastern Gopuram aligned with that angle. The Black Hornet buzzed into the stormy night like a dragonfly. It was completely invisible in the dark, entirely silent against the rain. Sachin kept one eye on the secondary camera, watching the surroundings. As the drone reached temple airspace, it became clear the alignment wouldn't be near the main Gopuram. It was too close. He hovered, panned, adjusted. 5 minutes in, the top edge of the Gopuram briefly appeared on screen. Sachin cross-checked the location with the blueprint he had painstakingly created. It was the northwestern corner of the innermost courtyard. He lowered the drone slowly. Then he saw movement on the secondary camera out of the corner of his eye. Sachin reacted instinctively. He slammed the throttle up. The Black Hornet shot upward, almost grazing the cap of a police guard who had stepped out of his outpost to drink water. The drone surged, missing the guard's head by inches before climbing to 200 feet. Sachin froze, breath locked in his chest. He switched to thermal imaging. The policeman glanced around, perhaps sensing a breeze, perhaps hearing a faint hum, but saw nothing. He returned to his post. Sachin exhaled. A bead of sweat trickled from his eyebrow as he let the drone hover at 200 feet for 10 more agonizing minutes. This time, he kept a clear eye on the secondary camera and maintained thermal view. At 5.5 feet from the ground, the seventh-tier window filled the center of the screen. Got you. Sachin checked the location again on his digital blueprint. The spot was directly in front of the Bhairava shrine. Of course, Sachin thought, Kshetrapala Bhairava, the guardian of the temple, an avatar of Shiva. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a marker. And there, at the shrine's entrance, just as the text predicted, were the Nagas, stone serpent idols pointing due south. The snakes will guide you to the entrance. Faded stone Naga carvings pointed south. Sachin remembered the verse. Follow the serpents. Follow the first light. He redirected the Black Hornet toward the main sanctum, following the line of sight of the snakes. Before moving it inside, he deployed the Axis Vidius to hover near nearby CCTV cameras in a random bee-like pattern. He didn't want anyone accidentally spotting the Black Hornet. The Black Hornet slipped in. Sachin's heart hammered. Inside, the general location lay beside the Narasimha shrine, near the figures of Vyasa and Ashwatthama. Narasimha, the guardian deity. Ashwatthama, the cursed warrior. Sachin remembered reading that the Padmanabhaswani temple was the only major temple in India with a shrine dedicated to Ashwatthama. The drone camera, still locked to the equinox sunrise angle, now required fine adjustments. He didn't know the exact minute the sun's first rays would touch stone along the serpent's line of sight. It took him nearly an hour, testing different angles of the sun. Then he found it. The night vision camera locked onto a spot. To an untrained eye, it was nothing. Just another stone. But there it was, a faint snake-shaped carving, nearly erased by time. Sachin closed his eyes. He knew exactly where to go. He recalled the drones and packed his bag with methodical calm. At dawn before sunrise, he entered the temple like a normal devotee, rechecking the spots he had seen through the drone's eyes. Then, 25 minutes after sunrise, like a divine revelation, the clouds parted for a brief moment. Sunlight poured through, striking precisely the stone he had marked. Sachin stood thunderstruck. By 8 p.m., he checked out of his room and walked straight to the railway station less than a kilometer away. As he walked, his phone buzzed. Chugru, 67 missed calls. He ignored it, activated Do Not Disturb mode, and continued walking. He memorized the small streets and alleyways along the road, potential escape routes if anything went wrong. His plan was simple. Rest at the railway station, blend into the crowd, sleep lightly. Then walk back to the temple, enter, find the secret exit by 3 a.m., return to the station, and board the first train he could find. But sleep eluded him. Swirling thoughts prevented deep rest. By 10 p.m., he reached the temple, soaked. The rain was torrential, a deafening curtain that drowned out the world. The Black Hornet hovered 200 feet above, scanning like a silent sentinel. His watch read 10:15 p.m., September 22nd, 2025. The same sensation he had felt before climbing Mount Kailash returned. High risk, no margin for error, in and out within 5 hours. After that, a train to Kochi. The children would be arriving. Life would resume. If he survived. Sachin checked the Glock 25 resting in his pocket. He hadn't brought the AK-47, despite the temptation. It was bulky, illegal, and loud. The Glock was compact, fitted with a high-end suppressor, and lethal at close range. He hoped he wouldn't have to use it. He didn't want to hurt innocent guards. But if discovered, he was prepared to kill. The guards were armed with assault rifles and submachine guns, but Sachin's skill, stealth, and quick draw gave him the upper hand. With night vision goggles, he could see them as if it were daylight, while they would remain completely oblivious in the storm. Sachin placed his hands on the cold stone. He paused, realizing he was crossing a point of no return. The smiling face of Sonam Pandey flashed in his mind, followed by Deepa's. Some truths were worth the risk. Some things money couldn't buy. He took a deep breath and began climbing the outer temple wall. End of chapter 49.
Thank you for watching Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest. Subscribe to stay updated on Sharika's journey. Stay tuned for the next part.